Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm here with Dominique Heaton of Heatons. How you doing, Dominic?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks very much for joining us. So if you could start us off, as usual, and give us a little bit more background as to who you are, your role, what you do, how long you've been doing it for, please, Dominic.
Yeah, no problem. So, my husband and I, we run Heatons, formerly known as Westmoreland Sheepskins, until really, really recently. We've just rebranded. We specialise in sheepskin footwear, sheepskin interiors. Um, we both joined the business, which was a family business, about 15 years ago. We were both employed in other roles at the time. But Tim's family business, they've been around for a long time, specialising in sheepskin. And we thought we could bring what we knew to the business. So along the way, we've been in different roles, but primarily we sell online now. We are Heatons online. We also have a shop at Salts Mill in Bradford, which is a UNESCO heritage site. We have had shops in the past, and Tim's father and brother-in-law, they also they trade at shows and markets across Yorkshire and the UK.
Yep.
So the Great Yorkshire Show,
Yeah.
agricultural shows, Chatsworth Christmas markets. So yeah, we're all things sheepskin.
Fantastic. When you said interiors there, did you say interiors?
I
So
did say interiors, yeah.
please, just out of curiosity, can you explain sheepskin interiors to me?
Of course. So sheepskin rugs, hides, so to speak. So it could be
Got you.
British
Yeah.
sheepskin rugs, Icelandic,
Yeah.
Gotland rugs from Sweden. We have we manufacture and make sheepskin beanbags, cushions,
Wow. Excellent.
accessories, chair seat pads. And we also have a made-to-order range. So if you wanted a particular rug in a
Yeah.
particular size, for example, we'll get them sorted for you as well.
Fantastic. So 15 years for you and Tim in the business. What made you go from, so you had jobs before, into the business? What was the desire to do that?
Well, I think I've always wanted to do it. My father was
Yeah.
self-employed, worked abroad a
Mhm.
lot when I was younger. We traveled a bit. But what he does is not something that I could follow in his footsteps. It's far too complicated. It's all engineering based, color
Yeah.
spectrometry. It's something that
Mhm.
wasn't really me. I went into teaching. I was in museums education and digital
Mhm.
interpretation for 12 years at Leeds Museums and Galleries. But it was about that kind of, I was really interested in the curatorial side and that engagement and storytelling side. Um, when Tim and I got together, I love the product. I've had to learn about sheepskin
Yeah.
and where it comes from and how it's used and all of its benefits and qualities. And that was interesting. Tim's father would talk quite a lot back then about how many people would say, are you going to go online, Howard? Are you going to sell online, Howard? When can I get these slippers? I can't
Yeah.
see you every year. So that was something I knew because my background was digital, and I thought, well, okay, maybe we could do something here. And well, that was the start of everything, to be honest.
Yeah. So what's that journey been like then? If you can, I guess in one word, if there is, or one or two, kind of sum it up and then expand on that summary.
What's the journey been like? Oh, a roller coaster. Um,
Yeah.
Joining somebody else's family business as a member of the family is always quite
Interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot, but I also think we've had some really nice conversations as a family about what they may have learned from me and my background too. And we found a really lovely way of working together that brings together all our areas of expertise. Yeah, and it's been interesting along the way.
Fantastic. So in terms of those 15 years that you've been involved, you must have seen a lot of different parts of the roller coaster with regards to outside impacts, Brexit, pandemic, recession. So what are the challenges and what are the opportunities ahead for you guys at Heatons as it stands, as far as you can tell?
Well, previously, some challenges for others may have been opportunities for us. And COVID
Yeah,
was actually good for business for us.
sure.
Everybody was inside, wanting to be comfortable, wanting to be cozy, needing to keep the heating bills down, sheepskin
Yeah,
slippers. It was great for
yeah,
business. But along with that did come some other challenges. So, for example, when Tim and I joined the business, we didn't have a lot of capital to set things up on our own, to invest in our own branding, to invest in product of our own. So we wholesaled other brands at the time.
Yeah.
We spent a number of years helping other brands grow, doing a great job in the UK to sell their products. And I think that then became a challenge for us, because once the effects of COVID wore off, that brand was finding it harder and harder to sell. So they started selling to a number of other businesses. Demand got a little bit lower after COVID, and that became more difficult for us as a business, because we were then competing with lots of other businesses selling the same product. So I kind of wish we'd made the jump back to only our own brand a long time ago. And this rebrand that we've just undertaken, it would have been good coming a few years early, so that we were investing more heavily in ourselves instead of somebody else. Along with that, right now, another challenge is things like the legislation regarding product labeling, product passports, etc. I mean, that is a huge learning curve, and if you get it wrong, the implications of it can be really financially costly. So we are working with other organisations like the DBT, Chamber of Commerce, etc., to try and get up to speed on things there. But yeah, it's challenging.
Sounds like that kind of red tape, as they call it. It's not helpful to a business.
No, not on online selling, and we sell online globally, so to multiple markets, and that does make it challenging and costly, because you have to consider everything then with that, getting all the information and sharing that information and making sure that legislatively you're doing things correctly.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's not the passionate side of the business that the challenges sometimes come from, is it, in terms of that? But I guess then there's also lessons to be learned about resilience and things like that. But if you've been in business, or you've been doing it in the business for 15 years, that's something that you must have learned along the way and displayed.
Yeah, and I think keeping your eyes open and your ear to the ground, having those conversations constantly is so important. Knowing what's coming up, being ahead of the game, and knowing who to talk to, because we don't know everything. I was a teacher, and then I was a museum manager. I wasn't necessarily commercial, but knowing the right people, the right channels to go to, and not being afraid to ask and saying, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, that's
key.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I think the more people that can do that, the better, in terms of saying, look, I don't know what I don't know, but can you help me? So is that one of the biggest lesson you've learned, you'd say, along the way so far, or is there anything else that would be your biggest lesson in business today?
I think the big plan, you really need to have the plan, don't you? You need to know where your markets are going to be. You need to know what you're selling and have ownership of that. And I think we've made a few mistakes along the way. Like I say, building up another brand instead of focusing on our own. Making sure that losing the plot a little bit here. But can you repeat for me? Sorry, Mike.
That's right. In terms of your biggest lesson, so you mentioned about asking for help was something that you'd learned along the way. And just saying, if there was anything else on top of that has piqued that kind of lesson, if there was a bigger one for you.
No, I think asking for help and knowing the right places to go, getting those conversations in early has been a big one.
Sure.
But also surrounding ourselves with the right people. As a small business, you're really kind of a family affair, and you rely heavily on the people around you. As you'll know, you'll have had these conversations with so many other small business owners, and learning how to spot the right people and keep them engaged and happy, in your team, particularly when, it's difficult out there at the moment. Retail is hard, markets are hard, legislation, there's so much of it, the economic climate's everywhere. But keeping people happy and engaged when they're the right people is so important. I mean, take Gemma, for instance. She is a local lady who has a background in hotels. Now, I don't know where we'd be without that woman, because she is the best customer service agent I could possibly wish for. And she's also a part of our very small but perfectly formed team, and she contributes
Yeah,
heavily to that. You know,
nice.
if I could
How
clone her,
big?
I'd be onto a money maker.
I think many business owners would say the same thing, you know, when you find the right people, if you could clone them, because there's a lot of mix of headwinds that, you know, Action Coach we hear at the moment, and that you can just kind of, I don't know, feel yeah, with costs rising, various impacts, and team finding the right staff, the right team members, again, is an opportunity, but it's also a challenge, which we keep hearing at the moment. How big's your team, Dominique?
At the moment, we're just 6. We fluctuated between 2 and 12 to 14 over the years. But
Yeah,
again, you've hit on a really good point there as well. It's not just about who you have in your team, but making sure everybody has a really clear role, that you don't have too many staff doing nothing or not enough being run ragged.
yeah. And is that a lesson that you've learned when you've got to 12? Was it through demand, or was it kind of through bigger ambitions than you thought, or is there a lesson in that?
It was because we were at multiple locations. So I
Mhm.
think because we had those locations, you needed that number, but
Sure.
it didn't mean necessarily that we were making the most of everybody in the locations they
Yeah.
were at. And I think we did learn there, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So what inspires you to keep going over these 15 years, as I say, and the future that's coming up? What makes you want to still do what you want to do despite the headwinds and the challenges?
Well, I just look back before I look forward, and I look at what Tim's family built and the challenges they've overcome, and thought, they've been there, they've done this so many times, and they've rewritten the book for it. They've
Yeah.
they've diversified, they've changed, they've reacted, and it's something that we are still doing. And I'm really proud of them for everything they've achieved. I mean, Heaton set up in 1899 in Leeds, manufacturing sheepskin coats, and Howard, my father-in-law, when back in the 80s, he rebranded as Westmoreland. He went purely to retail, but that was what was needed and what he was able to do at that time. And that guy is still he's 74, and he works as hard today as he
Yeah.
did back then. And I'm really proud of the stories, the heritage, all the investment we've just put into the rebrand to tell that story better. I'm
Sure.
excited that we're now going into
Yeah.
wholesale again for the first time in 40 years. We're looking at new markets globally. And yeah, it is tough, but I'm optimistic. We have a really good product, an amazing material. Sheepskin it's a byproduct. It has so
Yeah. Yeah.
many, fantastic qualities. I mean, when you look at, I mean, you look at the kind of fast fashion market out there now, and it's just, you just
Yes.
want to cry, and you think, there's just so much waste, and that's not what we're about at all. And I think people are recognizing that, and we just need to stick to our guns and keep a finger on the pulse. Yeah, I'm excited. Plus the creative side
Brilliant.
of it, I love it. The
Yeah.
design,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thinking about what's classic, but is also
Mhm.
contemporary to meet current
Sure.
contemporary trends.
Excellent. I love that. I can see the passion that you've shared there with your inspiration. So thank you very much for sharing that. In terms of advice, say if you were to go back in time, meet yourself at 18, before you were starting out on the world of work, and before you're going into business, is there a piece of advice in hindsight that you'd share with yourself at 18? What would that be?
Yeah, I would say don't be scared. Make sure it's something
Mhm.
that you are passionate about, because how do you back a horse that you're not really, you don't really love?
Yeah.
That to start those conversations, don't think, oh, I have an idea and I know it all, because you don't. And there are so many people who've been there, done that, written the book already, and they've got so much wealth of experience that you need to draw from. And even if you don't like what they're going to say, you do need to keep asking those questions and maybe adapt and think about what they're saying. But the other thing is, it's all very nice to get excited with big ideas, creativity, branding, all the colors, the look, etc. Um, but if the figures don't work, then it's not going to work. So you've got to think hard and early about those figures. And that's one of the most important things I would say. Yeah.
Fantastic. You mentioned something there. Don't back a horse you don't love. I'm going to take that one, and I've not heard that before, but it resonates really well. Thank you.
I'm not sure it's actually a phrase. It's probably an amalgamation of a couple.
Yeah, I'm going to say, did you get it from it? Do you use it often? Is it? But I like that. So yeah, I'm having that if that's all right.
No problem. Sharing is caring.
Awesome. So then lastly, in terms of before we end the interview, if there's any latest news about what you're up to, or even if it's a case of sharing your website where people can go buy their sheepskin products or get in touch with you if they've got anything they'd like to know more about, where can they do that?
Okay, so if there are any questions, they can come direct through to me at hello@heatons.com. That is our website as well, brand spanking new with a few teething problems at the start, and that's www.heatons.com. And awesome. You can visit us at Salts Mill. We're based in Poole and Wharfdale by Otley in our warehouse, and we're starting our wholesale journey again, so that's really exciting for us right now.
That's exciting times. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking with you, Dominique. Thank you for sharing all that you have, and I wish you all the best for the future success of the business.
Thanks, Mike. Lovely talking to you too.